Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nura Najiha Farhanah binti Azlan. Today, I will give descriptive speech, and the title is The Different Learning Style Based on the Psychology and Motivations. Imagine you are struggling to learn the subject for an exam and only barely passing, but your friend does not study at all and just relax, yet scored an excellent result for the test. So, what do you feel? Do you feel confused? Ask yourself. Based on that, I have done plenty of research about the learning style through journals and articles. As a student like me, always learning and keep learning, and me also have my own learning methods. I have come today to explain more about the different learning style based on the psychology and motivations. Today, I will describe the psychological and motivations explanations of the learning style and their effect on the student performance. Firstly, I will explain the difference between the learning methods based on the psychology and motivations. Next, I will move to the effects on the academic performance who apply the learning style based on the psychology and motivations. So, let's start to the first idea, which is the difference of the learning style based on the psychology and motivations. Every student has their own learning style and methods, which are influenced by the student's psychology and motivations. Learning style from a psychology perspective are rooted with the cognitive style, which are habitual ways for an individual process, perceive, and organize the information. Psychologists who are hardly define the learning styles as a characteristic ways for the individual approach in the specific learning task. For example, the Cope experience learning theory, which is learning based on the observations of the situation, reasoning, critical thinking, and drawing the conclusion and actions. Next, the learning style based on the student's motivation is referred to the learning approach by the Ferren Martin and Roger Steljo. There are two types of the motivation based on this learning style, which is intrinsic and extrinsic. For instance, students desire to truly understand, relate, and make sense of the material for its own sex. Furthermore, extrinsic motivation is like a pressure to achieve the external rewards, like high grades and negative outcomes like failures. So, let's move to the second point, is the effects of the learning style based on the psychology and motivations. The effects of the learning style based on the psychology is excellent in generating ideas and seeing the situation from multiple situations and perspectives. They will excel in fields that require the imaginations and strong interpersonal skills. For example, a student would be great in the brainstorming or the variety solutions for a basic problem and has creative idea based on their observations. Next, the effects of the learning style based on the motivations is short-term compliance and rote memorizations of facts to pass an exam, and the effort will cease once the reward is secured. For example, a student studies for the test because their parents offer them for money for exams, and the student will focus only on what is necessary for the grade in exams, and they will quickly forget about the materials afterwards. So, when we move to the effects of the learning style based on the psychology and motivations, it brings us to the last parts. In conclusions, learning methods derived from the psychology and motivations will show how the students assimilate the new information and how they show their own goals and motivate themselves to learn. Learning style also depends on the psychology and motivations and has its own effects and is a key to achieving the academic success. So, in my opinions, before the end is, the students need to focus on their self-efficacy to increase the motivation so the student much more confident to success. And last but not least, the student also need to focus on their learning strategy because everyone has a different learning styles, understanding, and intellectual ability. Thank you for your ear and attention. Bye-bye.